Eisenhower has a heart attack, and he wants the whole country to know that this was a real issue.
I am happy the doctors have given me at least a parole, if not a pardon, and I expect to be back at my accustomed duties, although they say I must ease my way into them and not bulldoze my way into them.
But the media had other ideas. They have their own agenda. He had the common cold of heart attacks. He didn't really have a bad one. The media was trying to show him on the golf course, having a great round of golf.
It was thought that diet was the cause. He was also like a 4-pack-a-day smoker, which may very well have given him his heart attack.
Yes, according to this survey, more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Try Camels yourself.
Right around that time enters Ancel Keys.
Ancel Keys was a pathologist at the University of Minnesota. He got the idea in the 1950s that saturated fat and cholesterol were what caused heart disease.
It strikes without warning. Of 10 men, we can expect 5 to get it. But we can't say who, or when, or why.
Ancel Keys was this incredibly persuasive person. He had a really outsized belief in his own ideas.
The facts are simple. You know the chief killer of Americans is cardiovascular disease, disorders and degeneration of the heart and blood vessels. Here are vital statistics. They show that this problem here in America is the worst in the world.
Ancel Keys was famous for something called the 7-country study. This is where he went and studied 7 different countries and came up with this hypothesis as to how we're supposed to eat based on correlation.
Ancel Keys is the one who proposed what he called the diet heart hypothesis, and that was that saturated fat and cholesterol, dietary cholesterol, would give you a heart attack, especially saturated fat, like hot oil down a cold stovepipe. It would just clog up your arteries and give you a heart attack.
The problem is he cherry-picked these countries to fit what he was trying to hypothesize. It set out to prove that the more calories you got from fat, the better chance you had of getting heart disease. It seemed like a straight line between the least fat consumed and the most fat consumed, with the U.S. at the top. The only problem is Keys studied 22 countries. And if you factor in all of those countries, the results were all over the place. He just took the 7 countries that proved this point, that fat causes heart disease. This study made Keys the temporary savior of the medical community, and therefore the world.
Such that he was able to get onto the American Heart Association Nutrition Committee, and he turned the whole association around in 1 year and got them in 1961 to recommend that all Americans restrict saturated fat and cholesterol in their diets in order to fight heart disease.
Dietary fat and its relation to heart attacks and strokes. Most persons in the United States who are overweight will find it profitable to reduce their total caloric intake. Reducing the amount of fat in the diet is one way to do this.
This is the first advice anywhere in the world telling people not to eat saturated fat and cholesterol to fight heart attacks. That's like the beginning of it all. That is what just blossomed, bloomed, grew into the giant oak tree of advice that we have now.
We have no credible evidence to say that saturated fat causes heart disease. And that sounds crazy to say when you look at our government guidelines and our dietary guidelines, but there is no high-level, credible evidence to show that saturated fat causes heart disease.
The interesting thing about Keys, he got virtually everything wrong, but it never infected his humility.
We live in a time right now when we've had a narcissistic turn. People are very primitive and narcissistic, a lot of injuries in childhood, and it has caused us to perhaps not have the most secure sense of self and identity. People attach themselves to one particular approach to diet, and it develops into an identity around which people maintain a religious intensity. They defend it as though any question in their dogma is like you're questioning their religious dogma or threatening their very sense of the fabric of reality. And so we start looking around for things to attach ourselves to, and political groups, religious organizations, different diet fads, we attach ourselves to these groups, and we look to the groups for our identity. So our going forward in life is somehow threatened by somebody saying, hey, maybe fat's not so bad for you. It's positively comedic, but it's becoming ridiculous.